Hello, how you doing? Trust you've been fine. Welcome to another episode on the Youth Arena, and it's been exciting. It's always exciting on this particular program. So we're going to be going right into what we have for today. We've been on Growing Your Leadership Influence series. We've learned a lot, and the past few episodes has been on listening, how to develop your listening skills, improving your listening skills, the barriers that are there towards effective listening, why listening is important. And today we're going to be zeroing in on how to become a better listener. The how to become a better listener. If you listen to the previous episode, I'm going to be saying a number of things I said in the previous episode, not for repetition, but for emphasis. Okay? These are things you should take note of them, and then practicalize them, put them into practice, and you revolutionize your listening ability. You're going to become a champion in listening, I hope, okay, so that you can do your relationships better, whether leadership relationship with your followers or marital relationship or courtship relationship or whatever. Listening is key, and when you get these things we are delivering to you, you are able to become a better person at all the things you have at hand and all the relationships you have to do. Okay? Now, a large part of every day of our lives is spent listening. A large part of our everyday life is spent hearing what others have to say. And since that's the case, don't you think it's important we do it well? I think it's important we do it well. I think it's important we learn how to do it well. Why? Everything worth doing is worth doing well. So if we spend a huge part of our day listening to what others have to say, hearing what others are saying, then it's important we learn how to do it well. And that's what I'm going to be submitting to you in this particular episode of the Youth Arena. Now, listening involves, first of all, wanting to hear. Your listening effectiveness begins from the point where you really desire genuinely to want to hear what the other person has to say. You have to want to hear if you must become a good listener. So what are those skills? What are those tips? What are those qualities you need to imbibe, you need to develop if you must become a better listener as a leader, as a husband, as a wife, as a human being who interacts with people every day, who doesn't live life in isolation? What are those skills you need to imbibe? I choose to call them tips. What are those tips you can adopt to become better at listening? Okay, number one, look at the person speaking. We're discussing how to become a better listener now. Practically, look at the person speaking. I wrote here, I said, the whole listening process begins with giving the other person your undivided attention. So you must learn to give the person your undivided attention. How? By simply looking at them. Look at them. It's that simple. Like, just focus your attention on them. That's a huge stride already you are making in listening to the person, in getting to hear what the person has to say and all of that. So listen, look at the person, rather focus. In the previous episode, we called it focus. In this other episode, we are telling you to look at the speaker. Give him your undivided attention. As you interact with someone, don't catch up with other stuff. Your mobile phone, your computer, typing the letter. That's when you have to brainstorm. Sometimes people are talking to you and you are busy murmuring ideas or you're counting money in your head, calculating how much money you have in your bank account. No, don't do that. Give the person your undivided attention. And it's a deliberate act. It's a deliberate attempt. You must be deliberate about it. Why? Because there are 1,001 things that demand our attention on a daily basis. So if you really want to listen to someone and give the person your best and get the best out of the communication process, you must be deliberate about giving the person your undivided attention. Okay? Now, you must learn to set aside time to focus only on the other person. And if you don't have the time at the moment, then schedule another time when you'll be freer, when your head will be clearer and all of that. It doesn't hurt. Schedule another time. You mustn't carry everything on you at the same moment. You mustn't take that meeting if you don't actually have to. You mustn't. You can reschedule. That's what we're saying. Why are we suggesting this? So that you'll be able to give the person your best. Now, number 2, on how to become a better listener. We already talked about look at the speaker, look at the person speaking. The same thing goes for the person who is speaking and the person who is listening, because there's going to be an alternation in speaking and listening and all of that. So I'm not just addressing you as a leader. The people who are following you, having the privilege to listen to what I'm saying, it also applies to you. Whether you are a husband or a wife, it also applies to you. Whether you are a child, a teacher, a student, it also applies to you. Why? Because we relate with people on a day-to-day on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So look at the speaker. Give him your undivided attention. Number 2, learn as much as you can not to interrupt people when they are speaking. Try as much as you can not to interrupt people. Most people react badly to being interrupted. It makes them feel disrespected. It makes them feel disrespected. So don't do it. Now, just as it is rude to step on people's toes when you are walking, you just keep stepping on people's toes and all of that. It's rude. In the same way, it is rude to step on people's flow of ideas, flow of thoughts. When we are talking, there's a flow of thoughts going on. Something is going on in here, and then it's being expressed by what we say. So when you keep interrupting, it's more like you are stepping on the flow of our thoughts. And if you wouldn't like it when you have a neatly polished shoe and somebody from nowhere that doesn't know how much effort you've put into packaging so that you manifest very well wherever you're going to and be perceived well, to impress people and all of that, the person just comes from nowhere and matches on your shoes. You feel agitated and all of that. In the same way, when you interrupt people, that's how you make them feel. It's more like you are stepping on the flow of their thoughts. So learn how not to interrupt people while they are talking. It takes a lot of discipline, though. I will tell you why. Because people do it for a number of reasons. Some, just to show off, some for some seemingly genuine reasons. But learn to control your interruptions. Now, people who tend to interrupt others do so for one of a number of reasons. One of the things I have here why people do that, either they don't place enough value on what the other person has to say. It could be one of the reasons. It's not ultimately the reason why people interrupt you when you are talking, but it could be one of it. Maybe they don't value what you are saying. They don't value you. They don't appreciate it and all of that. You've been in spaces where you have arguments. The major reason why the person you are arguing with interrupts you at will is because the person does not agree to what you are saying. The person feels you are yarning dust. The person feels you are not on point. The person feels, what you are saying is useless. It's my own that is the main thing. So the person cuts in and all of that, but you must avoid that. Number 2 reason out of so many others why people interrupt is probably because they want to impress by showing how smart and intuitive they are. I don't know that you've been in that space where you want to say something and then the person you are talking to just tries to complete your statement for you just to show you that I know that in here next, I know what you want to say next. What else do you have to say? Stop it. That's just the simple instruction. Stop it. 2 words. Stop it. Stop doing that. Be disciplined. Control yourself. Control yourself. You need self-control. Okay? It's a fruit of the Spirit. And if you are born again, you have that fruit inside you. Learn to control yourself. Okay? That could be a possible reason. Then, thirdly, some people interrupt when you are talking, probably because they are too excited by the conversation to let the other person finish. They are too excited. No matter what the situation is, no matter what the reason is, learn as much as you can not to interrupt people when they are talking. Especially when most interruptions are actually very rude. Most interruptions are rude. Maybe not all, but most. So learn to control it when you are talking with people. Now, if you are in the habit of interrupting other people, determine to make a change. Determine to make a change. It must be something you do deliberately. Do it deliberately. Sometimes when if you start off, you are going to miss it a couple of times, but don't stop. Let that determination be there. Let the consciousness be there. Let the being deliberate about it be there. Okay? So that whenever somebody is talking to you, you are applying that determination not to interrupt the person. Over time, you are going to master it and you are going to enjoy, listening to people better and interrupting them less and less and less until you don't interrupt unnecessarily. Okay? Now, the next thing you must understand if you must become an effective listener, okay, if you must become a better listener than you already are, is that you must focus on understanding what the person is saying. Focus to understand what the person is saying. Most times people listen to respond. People are just waiting for you to finish so that they will respond. I've been caught in that web a number of times. Sometimes too much knowledge is the problem, you know. The person is saying something, you already know the answers to what the person is saying, the solution to it and all of that. So the temptation to just, are you done? All right, this is what you do. Number 1, this is this. Number 2, this is this. Number 3, this is, the temptation is there. But like I will show you in the course of this discussion, most times people share their baggages with you, their problems with you, not necessarily to get solutions from you, but so that, number 1, they will feel heard and understood. That's the first thing. They want to feel heard. Maybe not everybody. Some people need the solution right away, but you must learn to observe the situation. I don't want to move faster than myself. We'll get to these points in the course of this discussion. So just stay tuned, okay? So, but what we're talking about is the need to focus on understanding what the person is saying. Listen to understand and not just to respond or to merely have facts. Listen to understand. Now, make understanding your priority in every conversation and make responding secondary. First understand, and then you can now respond. Sometimes understanding requires you're having to repeat what the person say, summarize it, and let the person know that I actually heard what you said. In the previous episode, you could check that out. You know, I talked about listening to people beyond what they are saying, hearing what they are not saying. Okay? So a way to show people that you understand them is you're trying to tell them, I heard what you said, you recap it in a nutshell, and then you call out how possibly you think they feel. This situation you explained, child, you must have felt so bad. I wonder how you felt. You know, if it's me, I would have felt very agitated or something. Let the person know that you relate. You relate with what he said. First, you heard him or you heard her. Secondly, you understood. Thirdly, you could relate to what he's saying or what she's saying or all that they expressed. Okay? Now, I remember I've talked to a number of persons, I've listened to a number of persons, and when they are done, I'm like, Kai, I know this is very hard, but I don't actually know how you feel because I've not been in your situation before. For me, I'm trying to be honest and trying to say, I know I've been in bad situations, but I've not been in a situation as bad as you are. So if I was hurt in so and so kind of situation, I wonder how you feel right now. That communicates that you are not just there just for being sake. You actually heard what he said, you actually understood, and you could relate to a certain degree. Okay? So focus on understanding. Effective listening requires more than hearing the words transmitted. It demands that you find meaning and understanding in what is being said. Find the meaning and understanding. Remember, the first thing we talked about is looking at the speaker. It is from focus that you are able to draw some of these salient points, some of these understandings that, you know, normally are not laid bare in the course of the talking, in the course of the discussion, and in the course of your lending your ear to whoever is talking. So focus on the speaker, focus on understanding what the person is saying, and you'll be able to get gists, get facts beyond the words the person is transmitting to how they feel. How they feel. Most times when people are talking, they are communicating their feelings. It is feelings in words. So you must be able to identify with them beyond the words to the feelings. You must be able to identify with them beyond the words to the feelings. Okay? Sometimes words are just semantics. They could get it right, they could get it wrong. It could be good English, it could be bad English, but there's a feeling behind what they are saying. Get that feeling, connect to it, and you connect to the person who is talking to you. The person is open to listen, to talk more, give you further information, and for you to be able to give whatever solution to the issue if you have it. Okay? Now, to increase your understanding of others, you must listen to the message and the message behind the message. That's the feelings we talked about. Listen to the message and the message behind the message. Sometimes, as a Christian leader, you need discernment. You need spiritual sensitivity to be able to understand what people are saying. Sometimes people can come with bad intents and they come like chameleons who are good and they are saying stuff. If you have the Spirit of God, you'll be able to see beyond whatever stuff they are presenting to what the message behind the message. Okay? Be able to see the message behind the message. Okay, so that's one way to increase your understanding. Listen for the message behind the message. You can also listen for both their content, the content of what they are saying, and the feelings. That's basically saying the same thing. Listen to what they are saying, the words, the constructions, and all of that, and then listen to their feelings. Oh, somebody comes to tell you, my wife is in the hospital, I've not eaten for 2 days, I've not eaten for so and so days. You know, the person is trying to communicate his frustration to you. Not necessarily at first for you to help. The person is communicating his state. So the first thing you do is identify with the person's feelings. Okay? Identify. You could be thrown into a space of logic where, how come you don't have savings? How did you eat all your money and all of that? That when emergencies come up, you don't have anything to do about it. You could be thrown into logic, but I understand what the person is saying. Maybe in the course of discussion, you will actually get the history or the reason why the person doesn't even have enough or couldn't save enough for that particular situation. Understanding and opening up, getting people to open up better and better for you to get the 100% grasp of the whole scenario is a process, and you break through each time you understand, or the person feels you understand what he's saying. You get better information. But by the time you get every of the information needed, you are now in a better position to counsel. Okay? So listen for the message behind the message. Listen for both the content and the feelings of what people are saying. Listen for what they are saying and what they are not saying. Okay? Listen with your eyes. And when you listen with your eyes, you're able to observe their body languages. You're able to observe their facial expressions and all of these things. That's how you can know when somebody is saying something. You could deduce whether the person is telling the truth or not. Sometimes most people, except for people who are professional liars, they have perfected in lying, But some others, when they are lying to you about an issue and you are sensitive and observant, you will know that there's something fishy about these statements. Like, I feel you are not telling me the truth. You're not telling me the whole truth and all of that. Not really because the person said otherwise, but because of how the person's facial expression was, because of how the person's tone of voice was. Sometimes when people are lying, their voices are shaking. They are kind of stammering. Somebody who is not a stammerer on a normal day, you'll be feeling some stammer here and there and all of that. It could be that, it couldn't be, it could not be that also. But when you observe, you are able to, learn, and you're able to make better deductions. So listen with your eyes, observe body languages, observe facial expressions and all of that. You ask somebody, how are you? The person say, I'm fine. Words say, I'm fine. The mouth said, I'm fine. The facial expression is saying, I am dying. I've been in situations where I'm like, no, there's something you're not telling me. And in such spaces, when you press forward, when you press in a little bit, the person tells you the truth. That's why, you see, in the world, especially in Nigeria, at least that's where I stay, when you ask somebody, how are you? The default answer is fine. Even if the person is dying, even if the person has not eaten since morning, the default answer is fine. Except maybe in a situation where the person is your paddy, that as you're asking how far, the guy is saying, guy, I don't die, you. I have friends like that who can be upfront with the truth. Okay, but for some others, you might need to press a little further. What brought me into all this? Be observant. Don't just take people's answers and people's words for it. Observe their body language, observe their facial expressions, observe their tone of voice, and you are better able to relate with them. You're better able to serve them. Okay, listen with empathy and acceptance. That's still falls under understanding them, relating with what they feel. Don't just feel I'm better, you are lesser. There's this attitude that people exude when they are not even sympathetic. Especially in a world where we have so many fake people around. That even when you see somebody who is in genuine need, I don't blame you. You might not know the person is in genuine need. You can be forced to come under that umbrella where you are like, do and go. It seems like you don't care. Okay, and all of that. Maybe that's not you. Maybe it's from past experiences and all of that. But we must learn to listen with empathy and acceptance. Okay? Then, as we listen to, in order to understand better, we must listen the way we would like to be listened to. Listen the way you would like to be listened to. Love your neighbor as yourself. Listen to your neighbors as you would like to be listened to. Very, very important. Now, as you learn to put yourself in the other person's place, your ability to understand will increase, and the greater your ability to understand, the better listener you will become. In listening to people, you must learn to listen from their own perspective. See yourself in their shoes. How would I feel if I was in this person's shoe? Your understanding about the situation and about what the person is communicating will certainly increase. It will certainly increase. Okay? So, we're going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue from where we stopped. I have more tips for you, so don't even think of going anywhere. I will give all of them to you today. You must learn them and you must practice them. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Trust you've been enjoying the program all the while. We've been giving you tips on how to become a better listener, okay? And before we went on the break, I told you that you must get these things. I still have about 4 or 5 more to go, and you must get them by fire, by force. Why? Because I desire that you become a better listener than you already are. I desire that your relationships are mended, your leadership influence grows, simply by adopting and applying these tips we are sharing, okay? Before now, we've talked about the importance to look, how important it is to look at the speaker, how important it is not to interrupt when somebody is speaking to you. We also looked at how important it is to focus on understanding more than, just responding or reacting to what the person is saying, okay? And then we're going to move on to the next one, the things you need to know to become a better listener. Number 4, you must determine the need at the moment. You must determine the need at the moment. It's something that will help you become a very good listener. Now, the ability to discern the other person's need at the moment is part of becoming an effective listener. People talk for different reasons. For instance, some people could talk, the reason why they're talking to you is just to receive comfort. Some others are talking just because they want to vent. Something is boiling inside. They just want to let it out. They want to vent. Okay? Some others talk to persuade, to get you to align with them and just to persuade you to do something or so and stuff like that, Then some other persons talk to you just to inform you about something. They want to give you knowledge. They want to inform you about something. Then some other persons talk to be understood or to relieve nervousness. So people talk for different reasons. And your ability as a leader to understand the need at the moment, why this person is saying what he's saying, will help you a lot. It will help you a lot, okay? Now, often people talk to you for reasons that don't match your expectations. This one is very true. When people talk to you as a leader, sometimes they talk to you as at that point, what you expect they are saying might not really be what they intend to communicate at that point in time. If you are watching it, if you are looking at them from your own lens as a male or as a leader and all of that, you might be tempted to miss the point they are trying to communicate. Okay, that's why it's important to listen to them so that you'll be able to get the particular thing they are communicating per time. Now, for instance, men and women in a relationship setting. Most times, when women, I wrote down here, I said a lot of men and women find themselves in conflict because occasionally they communicate across purposes. Like there's no understanding in what this person is saying as opposed to why this person is saying what and all of that, okay? Men usually want to fix problems. It's in our nature to fix problems. Most men, they usually want to fix any problems they discuss. Their need is resolution. Women, on the other hand, I wrote here, are more likely to tell about a problem just because they want to share it and not primarily because they want solutions from you. Okay? Very, very important. Most times when a lady is sharing, stuff with you as the man in her life and all, we are tempted to just want to give solutions. Just do it this way, and that is all. They want to connect with you on a deeper level. They want to share the story with you. Most times they just want to talk to you and have you talk to them about it, have you gist about the issue and all of that. Tell them you understand. You mean he looked at you? You mean you fell? You mean you sneezed? That's the, and for us, come on, what is all this now? Let's move on to more important business. You said you sneezed, okay, use your handkerchief and clean your face. That's all, you know. That you must learn to listen to people, and in listening to them, determine the need at the moment. When you give that need, you meet whatever need that they have in their lives at that particular time. Okay, so in becoming a better listener, you must learn to determine the need at the moment. Anytime you can determine the current need of the people you are communicating with, you can properly put what they are saying in context, and you will certainly understand them better. You will certainly understand them better. So listen, focus on the speaker, observe body language and all of those things. Listen beyond what they are saying, and you'll be able to determine what their need at the moment is, whether they need you to cuddle them, they need you to pet them, whether they need you to give them solutions, which could also be part of it, or whether they need you to just sympathize with them or share the experience with them, you know, and all of that. It could be for a number of reasons, but you must determine that depending on what the situation on ground is. Okay? Now, the fifth thing you must understand in becoming an effective listener or becoming a better listener is that you must check your emotions. In the previous episode, we talked about emotional baggages. You must check your emotions as a leader. Most people carry around emotional baggages that causes them to react to certain people or situations. Don't make unsuspecting persons, you know, recipients of your venting. Now, as understandable as it is that you had challenges at home, you know, your wife or your husband didn't do something well, things didn't go, you guys fell out and quarreled, and then you get to work and you are giving everybody in bits and pieces, or sometimes a large chunk of, you know, something you carried, a load you carried from home. No, it doesn't make sense. Now, somebody is talking to you and then you are reacting harshly. The person is wondering, have we met before? Like, did I do anything to you? Did you see me in your dream? You know, we must learn to be in control. It's called being emotionally intelligent. As a leader, you must be emotionally intelligent. You must not let whatever emotional challenges you have from the past or from a past circumstance and all influence your relationship or your listening ability or your understanding ability, you know, with somebody who is in your presence right now. You shouldn't let that happen. It has to be dealt with. So be mindful of emotional baggages and know that people are not, you know, don't transfer wahala. It's called transfer of aggression. Don't transfer aggression for maybe a past experience or a past circumstance or whatever to who you are with at the moment. You must draw that line, okay? So even if your reactions are not due to a past event, always allow others to finish explaining their points of view, ideas, and conviction before offering your own. Okay? You must understand that even if it's not from past, let people finish. It's still part of the interruption we talked about, that's, you know, in the last episode, that you should learn to control your interruptions. Don't interrupt people so much, okay? Don't interrupt them as much as you can. Don't even interrupt them at all. All right? So the next thing you must understand is in becoming an effective listener is that you must learn to suspend judgment. Learn to suspend judgment. Don't jump into conclusions when somebody is telling you something. Get the whole gist. Be patient to get the whole gist. I think patience at this point comes in handy. You should get patience, like stir it up in you as a believer. I see you already is the fruit of the Spirit if you are born again. You need patience as a leader. Don't jump into conclusions. The truth is that you can't jump to conclusions and be a good listener at the same time. They don't work hand in hand. As you talk to others, wait to hear the whole story before you respond. Okay? If you don't, you may miss the most important thing they intend to say. So be patient. Learn to listen to people, listen to the whole story before you respond. Don't jump into conclusions. It will help you become a better listener. Okay? Also learn to sum up at major intervals. For instance, somebody is talking to you, say, if I get what you're trying to say, this is what you're trying to say, this is what you're trying to say, you sum it up to let the person know that you are following. Experts agree that listening is most effective when it is active, of course. Okay, now, if you train yourself to comment meaningfully, the speaker will know you are listening and may offer further information. Just let the person know you are following. I understand you so far. This is what you are trying to say and all of that. A technique for active listening is to sum up what the other person says at major intervals. How do you do that? By paraphrasing his or her main points or ideas before going on to the next one. And even in doing that, you verify that you have gotten you verify with him whether you've gotten the right message. So something like, so if I get what you're trying to say, you are trying to say that not every man is stupid. That you are trying to say that some are, but some are not. You are trying to say that not every lady is senseless. Some have sense, some don't have sense. These are true facts. If you like, be laughing, okay? Actually, not everybody has sense. But it's wrong for you to come and say everybody is senseless and all of that. Make sure you are on the side of the people who have sense. Thank you very much, okay? Now, doing that reassures the person and helps you stay focused on what he or she is trying to say. And last but not the least, how do you become a better listener? You must learn to ask questions for clarity. Learn to ask questions for clarity. Have you ever noticed that top reporters are excellent listeners? If you must become good at listening, you must, if you want to become an effective listener, become a good reporter. Someone who gently asks follow-up questions and seeks clarification. Whatever you don't understand, ask. Ask questions to understand more so that you'll be able to piece together the whole story and have, the whole story at the palm of your hands and not just making assumptions here and there. If you show people how much you care and ask in a non-threatening way, you'll be amazed by how much they will tell you. Show them you care. Ask questions in a non-threatening way. Don't ask to intimidate them or to tell them that they are a piece of trash, whatever they are saying doesn't matter and all of that. Ask in a non-threatening way as much as you can. Learn it. It's a skill. Learn it. Okay? And then you'll be able to get the best out of them as you listen to them. Now, in conclusion, make listening a priority no matter how busy you become or how far you rise in your organization. Think of people you haven't been listening to, and maybe as a take-home assignment, whatever, just take time listening to them. Your spouse, your brother, your sister, your follower, somebody working in your organization, take time and listen to the person. And finally, it's never too late to become a good listener. It can change your life and the lives of the people in your life. Take it very seriously and you won't regret it. I trust you've benefited a lot from this episode. And we'll have more in stock for you. Keep watching Youth Arena. By the time we come your way next time, we'll bring something fresh from the oven that will benefit your leadership influence and make it keep growing. Thank you very much. Till I see you next time. Bye.